Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Gathering of Gachas, the only podcast that focuses exclusively on the games your parents don't want you to play. I'm Galen, the SoundGuy Firestone.
And I'm Kite.
And I'm the Lucksack, formerly known as Ranakel.
Oh, we're doing this
and I'm
formerly known
Dez.
thing?
just formerly known as Dez, not changed at all.
Okay.
How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good. No complaints on my end.
Conflicted, overall good, but given some research I did for this episode, conflicted.
Okay.
What do you mean?
I suppose he's going to elaborate later, Kite.
That sounds
Consider it a setup.
All right.
Who
Just like the fact that I was a Lucksack is a setup for discussing the banner and results for the FFB section.
Sounds
oh
good.
Boy. Okay, let's start with a new Neo Vision-based unit, which is, of course, none other than Rain.
Hooray!
Which makes
Rain?
sense because after
It's a
Cloud
brand new
comes
Rain.
Oh,
It's a brand new Rain.
Yes, Rain Neo Vision. It's literally his name.
all right, cool. They weren't even trying on that one, apparently.
Apparently not. And now, before we talked about the unit proper, I would like to talk about the banner, since it is a bit different from the previous New Vision banner we had.
Okay.
So, if you remember, the last banner didn't have a step-up or anything like that, but
Right.
what it had was that every 10+1, you got a ticket you could trade in for various rewards, shards, and so on from a shop. And you had the fourth one for free if you did 3 first. This one doesn't have the do 3 pulls, the fourth one is free. But what it does have instead is first the unexpected news that the tickets you get from these pools are on the same exchange shop as the one from the FF7 remake banner.
Oh.
And in fact, if you kept some holdovers, you can trade them for things like Wayne New Vision charts.
Oh.
Okay.
They're just one
That's
on the
nice.
same ticket.
Mm-hmm. They're
Also-
shared. They're shared.
Pause.
Yes?
I'm hearing a kid yelling in the background of someone's mic.
I hoped you wouldn't hear that. It just started as we started recording. I will close the window.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I'm going to have a hard time editing that out during when Rana's speaking.
I could just redo the banner explanation.
I think we may need to. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Probably
All
for
right.
the best.
Okay.
Unpause from the top. I'm blarg.
So before we talk about Wayne proper, I would like to talk about the banner first. Because
Okay.
it's a bit different from the FF7 remake banner. In case you don't remember, the FF7 remake banner had this free ticket you could exchange in a shop from the every 10+1 you pulled. And if you did 3 pulls, the 4th one is free. So
Okay.
this one, the Rain Neo Vision banner, doesn't have the 4th free pull, but it has 2 interesting traits to kinda compensate. One is that the tickets are the same as the previous one, and in fact the shop is the same as well, meaning that if you have FF7 remake banner holdovers, you can trade them for, say, a New Vision Rain shards,
That's actually really
or
cool.
vice versa.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, and the more it will persist, the better it will be, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing is that you get 2 guaranteed rainbows for every pool.
Oh man.
I like it.
That would be so tempting.
That's really good.
Yeah, so, but ultimately I thought at first that for reasons we'll cover pretty soon, this banner was kinda skippable. I just did a little daily pool because he is pretty cool, but didn't want to commit much more than that. So I got him in the daily pool.
Ah,
And
That
then
sounds
after,
about right.
that's not all. After
Oh,
some
boy.
deliberation, I thought, you know what? Since I got her, and since with the daily login rewards we get 40 shots, I'm just going to do one 10+1 pool, not to get anything from it, but instead to trade the new ticket for 10 range shots.
Right, for a guarantee thing.
Yes, of course. So I got my second range this way.
Yep. Saw that coming.
Saw it.
Yeah.
Yep. Knew that was coming.
mhm.
Also my second Bruce, for that matter.
Your second Bruce?
Bruce.
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 Who the heck is Bruce?
Okay, so who's Bruce?
One
He's
of
a
the main
season 3
characters
character.
of season 3.
Oh. Well,
Okay.
Okay.
Which explains why I wouldn't know him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll come back to it. In fact, even his name is kind of interesting. But first with first, let's talk about the shiny Neo Vision unit, Ray. So, of course, he has his normal form where he's kind of more adult-looking, almost getting some Reagan vibe.
Makes sense considering who his dad is.
Exactly.
Fair.
And his Brave Shift form is just yo.
He
Sure.
transforms to Hyo.
Great.
Yeah.
That's just yeah. Oh.
His TMR is a new power, which is 75% true double hand and 30% LB damage. So it's
Seems
very
good.
powerful.
Yeah.
The 75% can be a bit hard to round off, but even so, you always like more options to stack more attack and LB damage.
Of course.
Since LB damage dealers are pretty popular these days, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
there's
they
Tifa.
are.
There's also Tifa.
And his STMR is kind of a weird one because of his kit. So
Okay.
it's the Obliterating Crimson Saber. 184 true double hand greatsword. Makes sense.
Yeah.
No element, but it does cast on start of the battle and on Revive Power of the Sun, which increases fire damage by 10%. This is weird for his kit because he has a better buff of the same time as part of his kit.
Okay.
Fun fact, it transforms into a spear.
Like visually, I guess.
Yep, visually, yes, in his CG unit animation in his standard form.
Okay, but there's a funnier bit about that because while it does transform into a spear-looking weapon, he cannot equip spear, but his brave shifted form can.
Weird.
Indeed.
Oh, that's awkward.
Also, his unit-specific
considering-
vision card is in order to change the world, which is raw attack as its only stat, same as the chase.
Mhm.
But the passives are different. Instead of focusing on weapon mastery, well, it is technically a weapon mastery also for a greatsword, but it gives HP and defense instead of more attack.
Okay.
And as for the scene it depicts, it is basically the decision that led him to become Hyo. But in
Yeah.
pixel form.
Don't forget to remember the fact that the level 10 passive skill will only work if it's equipped by a male unit.
True that. Also, what's interesting about this first unit we have is that I'm running into kind of a first world problem to end all first world problems.
How's
which is
that?
among the 4 Neo Vision units currently in the game, 3 of them as true double hand greatsword users, meaning that I'm running out of gear for true double hand greatsword users.
Oh, dear.
That's my.
Well,
that's
with all
minus
the-
one. That's
with all the
minus
good
one
pol-
for me.
With all the good polls you've been having, that kind of makes sense that it would
Yeah.
be a problem for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, my farm party is 4 remade Cloud and a Tifa. Whatever shall I do?
I know, right?
Good thing I only have Cloud. And
Congratulations on having
haven't
Cloud.
we had enough of universe-destroying CG unit animations? Because Rain is one.
Yeah, it turns out busting the moon open wasn't enough, and now they're taking out entire galaxies.
Oh boy, I got a rare on my Dark Gambentine. Yes!
Oh, congrats.
Nice.
Indeed.
Finally, after 35 runs.
Congratulations.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds about like
That's a
Item World.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of that, we'll just talk about it later.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a shock.
Let's talk Rain. After Cloud.
Sure.
Cloud, Rain.
Sure.
So, his base form is kind of an offensive support.
Okay.
In that he supports and also has higher chains than most 7-star characters because he's an envy unit.
Of course.
Yep.
In particular, besides the fact that he has a lot of Stardust Ray chains, he can also do things like imbue himself and an ally per cast with fire damage for 5 turns. He can also deploy 80% fire resist and 40% generic damage mitigation, which is great for a damage dealer. He has the aforementioned up to 15% fire damage buff for the whole party as well. Some self-heal, self-MP regen. A bigger attack boost, it raises up to 280%. But this one is part of his Grand Disability. And then he also has a Beast Killer for both physical and magic unit by 100% for 3 turns, which is already pretty good. But then the skill also gives everyone in the party double LB damage, so that's even better.
Only double, huh?
Yeah, 100%. It won't help Tifa, but it's something.
It won't help Tifa. That's hilarious. All right.
Yes. And lastly, he has on a 4 turns cooldown only available starting on turn 4, a Stardust Ray chain with a perfect dispel attached.
Ooh.
So the ones that only dispel the buffs and not the breaks or over debuffs.
That's nice.
Yeah. And generally they are on a 4 turns cooldown on the best support units that can provide this type of effect. So, yeah, no, an actually really solid, very usable support kit. Not alone, but there's a lot of a lot of slot economy in there.
Oh yeah. Slot economy is something you always want, especially in like Neovisions or content like that where you can't bring a friend unit, so you gotta make people that bring along different things.
Exactly.
I think you mean Dark Visions, but yes.
Yes,
No,
I'm sorry.
That can also help.
Dark Vision.
And then his LB is pretty strong damage with a fire imbue for the whole party.
Seems good.
And he has in his passive something that's notable, which is that he has a lot of Beast Killer and a little bit of Human Killer. So, of course, in his New Vision form, in his Brave Shift form, I mean, all of that new terminology is going to take a while to roll off the tongue, won't it?
Indeed.
Anyway, for his transformed version, he has the opposite, which is a little bit of Beast Killers and a lot of Human Killers.
Okay.
This is also where his Fire Imperial is, because he doesn't have any in his normal form. He needs to rely on either external Imperials or his Brave Shift version. This is also where he has even more damage, with bigger chains in general, and where his LB does a lower base damage, he does have more passive LB damage boosts.
Okay.
And it actually changed. It's the Extreme Nova chain that original hero started.
Great.
So there's one with something that destroys the universe, and the other one is an incredibly powerful version of Extreme Nova. Dig.
Yep.
But I don't
Yeah,
like
but
the
that means
universe
you have to
destroying
chain
part.
the Extreme Nova with Hyo.
There
No.
are a couple of other options, which are Mastermind Zone and Elena, actually. Light of
Mhm.
Salvation is Extreme Nova Chain.
Aldor King Rain as well with Crimson Nova.
But it starts on different frame.
Yeah, since it's not a CG version. Mastermind Zon, yeah. Yep. It's not CG.
So yeah, overall, he is a damage unit, and he is serviceable. He doesn't really do anything utterly unique or utterly exceptional, but he sounds like the perfect workhorse. Take to an element, imperil it, imbue it, deal damage, buff, deal more damage. Yep, sounds like a plan.
Mhm.
Then, shall we talk about the other new vision unit, which is the NV Awakening of Veritas After Dark?
Oh, sure, but first let me add this up to the point. Because upon checking on my own Dark Lord after awakening him, he suddenly got the ability to equip guns at his Envy Awakening. This perfectly mimics Regen, in a sense, because his human form also equipped guns, so that's a little interesting fact.
Yeah, it gets weirder because he indeed gains the ability to equip guns once NV awakened,
Mm-hmm.
and then his Brave Shift form cannot equip guns.
Yep, he can equip Knuckles instead.
Weird.
Indeed. He also gains the ability to equip maces. So, anyway, that's it for the Dark Lord equipment time. As far as his new skills, so he gains the ability to triple cast as well. Although this one is part of an unlock, I think.
It's a part of his unlock on start of the battle, and then another one that lasts longer with the Dark Aspiration skills.
Right,
Thankfully, I'm in the unit screen of Dark Lord himself because I just awakened him earlier.
Tom in the chat is saying that Veritas of the Dark is also the arena champion right now.
Yep, he is. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Actually, we can talk about it now because it's part of his main form kit.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And let's talk about it. Why is he such a beast in arena?
Because his grunt disability. Oh, no, go ahead.
So it's because of this skill, Quintaslash. It's a Grandis skill in his base form, which you can use 3 times. You can only cast 1 time per multicast. It deals split 5 physical damage to all enemies. So it drops 5
basically
times.
a big modifier AoE damage.
Yeah,
Nice.
It's 999 times 5.
Yeah, it works like a barrage.
Against everybody.
Yeah.
That's rude.
Mhm.
I love it. That's rude.
Yeah,
And you can
pretty
even
much.
triple cast. You can even sync it with dual slash, which is no longer restrictable to using dual wield. So you can even spam it in arena to even get rid of the annoying arena traps, which
Oh,
I'm
dear.
doing right now.
Okay.
So it's a massive hit, 5 times. Then there's dual slash that procs twice, so that's 4 times if you also use Quintaslash.
If you'd rather chain, though, he gets 2 new moves, one which impels Dark Resistance, the other which deals attack, defense, and magic break 75%, and both of those are Stardust Ray.
Yep.
So he gets an actual modern chaining family. Though his Divine Ruination still has better modifiers, and so he can be our chain partner for base from T5. That's really what you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there is his Breath Shift form.
Let's go ahead and talk
Right.
about that, since obviously that's like I would argue the more interesting part of Neovision Awakening.
So, this form is kind of like T-Fast in that it only lasts a certain amount of turn, and on top of that, it's only unlockable for starting from turn 2. You cannot
Interesting.
turn 1 change. Yeah. So you'd imagine it's very powerful.
You
And
would.
it's kinda is on that too theoretical level. The modifiers are high, sorry, but he becomes completely locked to Dark Element. No single skill that does damage, and all of his skills do damage. And not a single one of them just does damage. It's all directly dark damage.
Okay.
Got it.
His LB enhances dark damage too, only for caster, not for the whole party.
Okay, so it sounds like the way this guy is designed is specifically for anti-dark. So if you're up against a boss like Soul, you're up against a boss like something like that.
Yes, or for... I mean, the ideal case scenario is a boss who deals dark damage and is weak to dark damage. Because even in his Brave Shift form, he still has the ability to absorb dark damage.
I don't think there's many bosses who are going to do that. Like, how often are you going to see that
that's the
scenario come
problem.
up?
Exactly my point.
Okay, glad we're on the same page on that one. I'm like,
Good.
deals dark damage, but also is weak to dark damage.
Yes.
I mean, I know for some people, like, they're worried about, for say, Lilith in Arena with everything, and he would trivialize that unless I'm mistaken. But
Yeah.
I mean, there's not that many
overall,
bosses, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the latest Dark Visions Bahamut actually had this gimmick where you had to make him endure an element again and again, and then use the opposite element to make him weak to the first element you used. That's literally the only case where this worked that I can think of.
Yeah.
So yeah, he is pretty much the worst envy currently,
Well, that's a shame.
but that doesn't mean that he is purely useless in general. Like, being the worst envy meaning you still do 20% more damage than CG Kuja, which is the current best non-envy damage dealer.
Nice. Well, that's still pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah, but still
Certainly.
pretty good. I mean,
certainly better than Bruce.
I mean, if you don't even use him quite frequently, you can use him in Arena to mess up with other people's lives.
Yeah, it does sound,
Yeah, I mean,
at the very least, like he's an easy way to get wins for that, but
and if you have a Dark Veritas, what are you going to do? Sit on them?
pretty much. What's his STMR? Or no, we already knew that. Never mind. I'm dumb.
Yeah, it's still his armor.
Yep, I'm...
It's still his armor.
His armor that will make his ability to absorb dark damage worse.
Yeah.
So does
That was
the
not
other
very well
Veritas.
itemized, was it? That was not very well itemized, was it?
Indeed.
Okay, so yeah. So Bruce is next, one of our main characters of season 3. So how is he?
Well, first, I want to talk about the name of the event and the name of the character.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, the event is named Prelude in Blue,
Okay.
and that is because his name is very much the same in Japanese, Bruce, which could be interpreted as Bruce, like the official translation did,
Okay.
or as a blues, which is why the event is named this way. You know, blues, like a blues brother.
Yeah, I was about to say, so he's Proto Man.
Not quite. He's actually my favorite character of season 3.
Well, Proto Man's one of my favorite characters in Mega Man, so that works.
Yeah.
Well, classic Mega Man. I'm much more of an X fan. This is not relevant, but I'm just saying it. Anyway, hi.
I respect it. So, as far as the unit himself goes, his TMR is Illusionary Gun, which is 30% attack, 40% attack if you have a gun. 70% gun mastery overall, we like that.
Yeah.
His STMR is actually very good. It is a 51 attack hat, already pretty
Nice.
decent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
30% light and dark resistance, even better.
Yeah, this is sounding good so far.
And 15% evasion. On a hat slot, which only has 5% evasion, save for a single exception, the TMR from King Bradley, a limited time character.
Right. Yeah, that actually is really good. Yeah, high attack, evade hat, that's awesome.
Yeah. That's really spectacular.
It lets you avoid doing compromises, and we like those.
Yeah.
As far as weapons go, he has a pretty restrained selection and can only equip daggers, guns, and throwing weapons. But I'm happy with this selection because being able to equip throwing weapon means he can equip Ace's TMR, CG Ace's TMR and original Ace's STMR, which are both sets of playing cards in the game. Given that he has a bit of a trick magician gimmick,
that fits,
it works.
Yeah. That works. I like it.
Unlike his kit, which doesn't work at all.
Well, darn.
Okay, so it comes from an interesting place but doesn't quite land. So he has chaining moves with which are all absolute mirror of equity. So far, so good.
You say that, but it sounds like he's a mage, right?
Well, he is technically a summoner.
Okay.
But he doesn't do summon damage. Which makes sense in story. It's actually consistent with the lore.
Mm-hmm. Given to his background story, he was once a summoner.
Okay.
But now he has a gun. And he's using it to do things like breaking for 70% attack magic or defense spirit.
Okay.
Or to give himself, along with the damage, a couple of essentially mirage stacks. But his best chaining moves, which are either light or dark elemental, also are a one-turn provoke. So the way he's supposed to work is that you build these evade stacks and then use the move to provoke. But since the provoke is on his best chain, it means that if you want to do the most damage, you cannot raise up his defenses.
That's...
And
yeah, I can see where that's going wrong fast. I'm actually having flashbacks to Medius with his draw attack for no reason.
Yeah. And the skill with the most mirage stacks are on the cooldown. So he can't even have full uptime of his own self for physical attacks evade.
Cool.
Also, the best nod to his summoner background is an attack that does cast 10, your entire Esper gauge, and inflicts physical damage for the next 3 turns, and either instant death or 50 times physical damage, plus all status ailments. It's named Summon Doom Train.
Yes!
Choo!
Yes!
Choo choo! That's exactly it in a nutshell.
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to run over people with a train.
And it's an incredibly huge spoiler alert, too.
It's an incredibly huge spoiler, except we already knew the Doom Train was part of the game.
Well, we already knew a train was part of the game.
Oh. Was that actually a spoiler? Is it not the Doom? Like, was it not supposed to be the Doom Train, or was that supposed to be a secret?
I haven't finished the story even, so I don't know.
I took one look at the image and I'm like, oh, that's the Doom Train. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you see a train, you assume it's the Doom Train. It makes sense.
Oh, kind of. It was kind of specific looking, but yeah.
Oh yeah, point is he can hit people with a train, which is pretty cool, but overall his kit just doesn't quite connect.
Well, that's
one issue I'm seeing is he can't suplex the train.
That is a big issue.
Still a shame.
Yeah. That is a big issue that needs... I don't know if immediate addressing is the right term, but clearly something got lost in translation there.
I am pretty sure one who would appreciate the fact the train is unsuplexable is Rinora, the train's conductor.
Rinora.
Which is the other 5-star base 7-star max unit on this banner.
Okay.
So, TMR is train conductor, which is 20% HP, 40% defense, and some regen. Meh.
That is fairly meh, yeah.
And SCMR is clothes equipment with a 50 defense and spirit, 1700 HP, which is real solid, and the ability to mitigate physical and magic damage taken by machinas, along with a 3 LB gauge field per turn. It sounds like a pretty good clothes armor set for support character.
Yeah?
Which should hint you as to his role.
That sounds very supporty.
Yeah, and he indeed is pretty much entirely a support, and not only that, a defensive support character.
Okay, so by defensive support, we're talking a lot of barriers and a lot of mitigation and stuff like that. Basically similar to how Shitless Nickel was.
Barriers, no. Mitigation, yes.
Oh, no barriers, huh? Alright.
No barriers. So he has a full suite of stat buffs.
Okay.
Mitigation. He has up to 40% general mitigation. And a cooldown which is on a 4-turn cooldown. And is 70% physical mitigation for 2 turns. Which is very solid.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. And on top of that, he also has the ability to have 2 charges Mirage for all allies, which can be used as part of a double cast, or... No, he doesn't have a triple cast. Double cast it is. It's still 1 more cast than Kimari.
Well,
he is our main source for 2 stacks physical evasion.
Okay.
So that's pretty much it. There are some like 10% physical and magical mitigation against humans and machinas for the whole party, but that's more anecdotal than anything else.
Yeah.
To say nothing of his amazing chaining skill, which is non-elemental 6 times modifier Chaos Wave Awakened.
Okay.
It's pretty much there just to chain with a better unit.
It sounds that way, but at least it's there. I do appreciate when they do stuff like that and just, hey, we can have this support guy help this other strat that's not in their wheelhouse just to help out.
It kinda helps the empty turn this way. It's still not great because he can only double cast, and most mages with Chaos Wave Awakens tend to rely on triple or quadruple casts. And Chaos Wave Awakened is a fickle chaining family indeed.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it for Rinora. Solid defensive support. And not very diverse in his kit. He does one thing and he does it pretty well. Pretty much the opposite of the last unit that was added in this game, but not as part of any banner.
And how is it not part of a banner? Now I'm confused.
Well, that's because You get this unit for free as part of the reward for the current equipment enhancement event.
Yay, Galen's favorite event.
Which is built as a collaboration between Brave Exvius and Record Keeper.
You get a free character as part of a steel castle?
Yep.
Cairo, the protagonist from Record Keeper.
Okay.
Now, for those that didn't play the game, Tyro's main gimmick is that he wasn't very powerful on any specific stat, but instead was able to do pretty much anything. He could equip any weapon, any magic, any summon, anything. And had some very niche utility, like a special type of mitigation that only one other character's limit break had.
Okay.
They did him... well, I will say as much, they at least got one part faithful, which is that he doesn't really have any strength in particular.
Nice.
So he has low modifier status sway physical chains, low modifier curse where weekend or status sway magical chains, some low buffs, some elemental moves which are also kinda low on either status sway physical chains or curse where awaken magical chains with either earth or light. He can unlock a triple cast or has a native dual cast. He has 65% breaks. He has 80% elemental imperil. He has a slightly improved Kiraga and Tornado. Tornado, yeah.
Alright.
He is pretty much kinda like AKT in design, but on a lower power level because he is a free unit. And that's to say nothing of his TMRs and STMR. The TMR is a World's Chocobo Adventure.
Oh dear.
20% to HP, MP, attack, defense, magic, and spirit. As for his STMR, it's a hat with 25 in all main stats and a 50% high tide. None of which are all that useful.
Yeah.
Thank you,
ironic
Tyro.
for a
You look
universal
cute.
unit. Yep, he is cute.
And there is, however, as part of the event, a specific equipment, the Grimoire of Last Judgment, I believe.
Last Judgment Grimoire.
Yeah, which is same level as his TMR, which is materia, but this one is a rod with 130 attack and magic, and a unique skill which gives 30% to all stats. So that's pretty decent.
That is pretty decent.
Don't let the weapon type deceive you. Even though it's a rod, it's a book.
Yes.
Well, we don't have a book weapon type, and I don't think it's the first time that's happened.
It is indeed not the first time that's happened. We've had already the Divine Art of War from TG Nicole.
Right. Thought there would be a nickel book somewhere in there, and I totally forgot.
And there's also Lizard Val STMR, which is a book. And Unholy Grimoire, which is a rod, actually. Point is, book's a magic weapon.
Yeah, that's what I got out of that.
Pretty much.
And then we got lots of login campaigns again.
Okay, well, those are good.
Do we? We can get Rainy Vision and Veritas of the Dark fragments for the login campaign for this event.
Good.
Yeah, they still do the thing where they give you 40 shards and you need 50 shards for the first awakening, which is why I did that one pool. If you have 40 shards on a unit, the unit won't be useless because first, even in their Bane non-awakened form, a Neo Vision unit is pretty good, and also will eventually gain a way to farm shards on the units you already have.
And they've also announced the next World Revisit event for the next region of Season 2, which is going to start...
Which makes sense, we are about to start a new month.
Yep, it's going to start this September 1st. So that's more lapis for us. I think that's about approximately 8,000 lapis for Crystallis chapter.
Free stuff good.
I don't know if it's going to include Madame's Manor for some reason, but we're gonna check that out once we've hit the 1st of September.
Manor.
Welcome to Gathering of Gachas, all your source of deep analysis such as free stuff good.
Yeah. And of course, we continue on with Season 3 story. It's still
haven't continued the high school anime arc yet.
Yeah, they're still in Symphonia, and Blue Mage Fina can learn a new blue magic there relatively early in this story, instead of learning it at the end of each chapter release. She gets it early. I mean, first part of the story. This time it's the Mighty Guard spell, which gives Defense Spirit buff, general mitigation for all allies, and a 5,000 HP barrier, which is unusual for certain units that can buff barriers. This one is huge. 5,000 HP. I mean, it's not as good as Dr. Aiden's, but it's still excellent. Only if you like blue mages, that is.
Yeah, and I think at this point, the only one that are viable are Kimari because of his one trick, which we know right now knows better, and Fina, which is actually getting some decent utility every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Fina's going to continue to improve as well, because as the story keeps going, she'll, learn more skills as well too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, keep going it does.
And let's see here. I think we've got all for FFB, I guess, right now?
Yep, we've got it covered.
Mm-hmm. So, what's going on with the doctor stuff, Galen?
Okay, well, there's been quite a few new things going on this week, which is nice. The first big one is the new Stories of Afternoon event.
Stories of Afternoon?
Which is, it's not Stories of Afternoons, it's not daily stories, it's wonderfully English, but there we have it. And that is what we call a vignette event, and that is to say, it doesn't,
have stages? Well, I guess it does have stages.
It does have stages, but they don't have their own map, and they're not presented in a story sequence. They're presented, you unlock the story via unlocks. You can watch them at any time. Taking a stretch. Quick pause. So generally speaking, it feels a little disconnected. It's more like, again, it's a series of vignettes as opposed to one contiguous side story like Code of Brawl or like Obsidian Festival. I have not watched any of these stories yet, because I'm saving that for stream and I had to unlock them all. So, we'll be, probably by the time this episode releases officially, it'll be out, but, at this point in time, I have not done them yet. The stages are actually quite interesting because they do go on normal maps, so you actually have to have, the episodes they appear in unlocked in order to access them, which is fine, because the last ones are in the most recent chapter, and they are very tricky. I still don't have an auto strat for the last one, and that drops a rare mat, so that's actually very useful to grind if you can make it work.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, it's a pretty cool event. I'm not entirely displeased with the stages. I don't think they're as interesting as Neon's event, which was also a vignette event. I don't think it's as interesting as Ancient Forge, but it's got some good stuff going on. It's got
right.
You gotta think.
It sounds kind of like some Slice of Life thing.
Yeah, it feels that way.
Yeah.
From what I saw,
that's a pretty accurate assessment, I think.
It's kind of low stakes. It feels like the characters they've chosen don't really have any gigantic trauma to them or anything like that. the characters they've chosen to represent.
I'd say this would provide a nice break, but Arknights seems to be full of breaks.
Yeah, it's not a very fast-paced game. This is about as active as it gets, unless you're in a contingency contract, which is coming in a couple weeks, and that's a whole other conversation.
Which is not something I hold against the game, to be clear.
Yeah, no. I like. That's one of the reasons why I like Arknights so much, because it's kind of just chill, you know? There are periods where you're going to need to, do more, be higher activity and whatnot, but, like, for the most part, as long as you're using your energy, relatively efficiently throughout the game, then, you're going to have a good time with it.
Pretty much. Anyway, the other thing... This event is neat. It doesn't offer anything too crazy. The rewards are the usual suspects: your crafting mats, your catalysts. It gives a lot of Lucksack coal, which is nice, and it gives a bipolar nanoflake, which are hard to make, but it's not like it's not like it's a bunch of critical items or anything like that. It's nice stuff. I appreciate it, but it's not the be-all end-all of items. The banner attached to it, however, is very interesting. This banner features 3 characters. A rate-up on Lappland, who's one of the best 5 stars in the game, and then additional new characters of 5-star Chain Lightning Mage Leizi and 6-star single-target nuker Ceobe.
Alright, I heard Chain Lightning and I'm instantly interested.
I wish she would live up to your expectations. Unfortunately, the way she works is a little janky. Because while she does hit fairly hard, the enemies have to be in kind of a specific layout in order to actually make them work. And
alright, then we'll take you and put you in a nice comfy place. It's a comfortable bench next to Bruce.
Pretty much, unfortunately. It's kind of a shame. If her Chain Lightning range was longer, it'd be good, but because enemies have to be 1 tile apart, and because she's an AoE caster by technicality, her range is actually kind of short. It basically means she's got to be staring at a swarm, and she doesn't end up doing anything that a regular AoE mage doesn't already do.
Fair.
So, she's good if you need a 5-star AoE mage. She's maybe a little worse than Skyfire, but if you don't have Skyfire, she's good. But she's not going to be a significant improvement over her except under the most specific of circumstances.
Yeah.
The other unit on here, however, Ceobe is our 6-star. Well, actually, no. Before we get to Ceobe, let's go ahead and talk about Lappland a little, because we talk about her a lot. I use her a lot. She is a range attack melee unit. Basically, she goes in a melee square, and she throws attacks at enemies, and she blocks 2. She has really high attack. She is very, very good. Her key thing that she does is she actually silences enemies on attack. It's part of her talent. It's not even a skill. Which is very good.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, that's got a ton of utility attached to it, and really helps in a lot of stages. Basically, anytime you see an exploding spider, get Lappland. Just don't ask questions. Just go get her.
Yikes,
and when the spider doesn't explode?
Yeah,
Correct.
Exploding spiders. There's fire exploding spiders, ice exploding spiders, and I think there's a new one in Stories of Afternoon that does both at the same time, which is frustrating.
Exploding and then spiders.
Yeah,
usually they do a lot of damage upon death, and they may apply another effect as well.
Just creeps out my arachnophobia a bit.
Understandable. And then Lappland herself. Sorry.
Also, according to Spacebird in the chat, ice slugs can also get pretty much countered by this feature.
Yeah, Lappland prevents the explosions because they're a special skill, and without Lappland, and when you're silenced, you can't do a special skill. So good night.
Excellent.
So yeah, she is the solve for that, and even just in general, she has a very high attack. Her skill, which is automatically generated, it's not something you can pop at will, which is unfortunate, changes her attack to arts, and then magic damage, and then it hits 2 enemies instead of 1, making her even better.
All right.
So, yeah, the short version is Lappland is terrific. We like her a lot. So she is, for a new player, probably the prize. Now, the top of the line is Ceobe, our second single-target 6-star mage. The first one is kind of in quotes, because Aejafala is not really a single-target mage. She acts like one, but all of her skills have AoE attached to it.
They're just tiny AoE. Right.
No, they're full power. So she hits as hard. She has a full AoE mage kit at the speed of a single target, speed and range of a single target mage.
Right.
And then her
Sorry, I thought for a moment she had drawback.
No, she really doesn't. Remember a while ago when we said love your off banner?
Yes.
Aejafala was the off banner in question, and I called her one of the most powerful units, if not the most powerful unit in the game.
Yes.
Despite getting Ceobe, I still want Aejafala really badly. She's that good. So, Ceobe doesn't really do that. Ceobe does the opposite. Ceobe is a hardcore single-target mage, and she's got 1 skill for pure, raw, ultra-destructive damage, and 2 skills for utility. And we're going to start with the damage one, because we have to go into her talent. Ceobe's whole thing is that she is a destroyer of armor. Her built-in talent does extra damage according to the enemy's defense. She'll do 25% or 40% extra of the enemy's defense in extra magic damage for at Elite 1 or Elite 2 respectively. Her second, now all of her skills, what they do, and this is so cool about her, is they actually change her target priority. So her second skill, this is her big marquee damage skill, automatically targets the heaviest, the highest armor enemy, highest defense enemy that's in her range. So what that ends up meaning is that she focuses the thing she has an automatic synergy against, and then her attack speed increases to, like, I think it was calculated out at 40% of her maximum, 40% of her attack speed. So it goes that quickly.
Targeting, we like those.
Yeah, basically she does to armored units what Exvius does to everything else, which is shoot the just rage on it until it's dead. It's really impressive. Now, her first skill, the one she starts with at no elite ranks, is just an automatic generation skill which targets an unblocked enemy and freezes it, and does damage. That's pretty neat. That's cool. It's utility. It doesn't hurt. So if you're dealing with a slow enemy in her range that isn't blocked yet, that's a good way to kind of stall it and let the blockers get something down and get some extra room in their block queue.
Yeah, if you're dealing with a slow enemy, you're not now dealing with a very slow enemy.
Correct. And then the third skill is actually a mage killer, which is really weird to have on a mage. The trick with it is, so the skill targets the lowest defense enemy. It converts her attack to physical and silences whatever it hits.
Okay, that's weird.
That is weird. It basically turns her into a sniper for a while.
That's weird, but that's unique.
It is very unique. It is very weird. It doesn't synergize well.
Lappland actually kind of does the opposite. Her skill is an automatic trigger upon attacking a certain number of enemies. So that's interesting. I hadn't seen that part of her kit before.
Yeah. So yeah, Ceobe is either she is going to kill heavy armor things with great vengeance, or she is going to do some cool utility stuff. But what this means is she's essentially a mission specialist. Like, you're not going to deploy her in general situations. At that point, you're probably going to want to stick with Amia or with Nightmare, or if you have Aejafala, of course, because Aejafala's that good.
Of course.
I mean, Aeja's good in almost any situation.
Yeah, Aeja is such a generalist. I can't think of many stages where she wouldn't be good. And what that ends up meaning... Yes?
Sounds like you've Asia fallen for her.
I wish I had her. I really do. That was bad.
Ow, my ears.
Yes, it was.
So Ceobe's very much a mission specialist. It also makes her very newbie unfriendly, because you got to actually understand how target mechanics and all that stuff works, which is easier said than done for obvious reasons.
Also means probably, since you don't get the enemy information for stages before you've seen the enemies, so as you go through a stage, then you're not going to know, what's coming next until you've already seen them. After you've, seen all of the enemies, even if you don't beat the stage, then you're going to get that enemy information. So until you've seen the enemies, you may not necessarily know if Ceobe is going to be, good there or not.
Yeah.
Or rather, if she'll excel there. She'll probably do fine. She just may not do as well as, Aja would.
Pretty much. Generally speaking, if you have a more generalist single target mage, they're probably going to be better for first attempts, but at the same time, like, Ceobe is strong enough to just handle that and not have a problem. So,
yeah.
I, for one, am not too overly concerned. I'm glad to finally have a single target mage, because I never got Asia Fala, and that has been one of the bigger weaknesses in my roster, so I finally have a good single target mage, and I'm glad it's someone who can shred specific enemies, because I have a fair amount of generalists.
Yep. Also, obviously, everybody has Amiya, and she's good, but she does have some weaknesses that...
Yeah, Amiya has some pretty severe drawbacks that make her kind of unreliable in higher tier... environments.
Yep.
So it's one of those things. It's far from perfect, but again, Ceobe against the right enemy is really cool. And that's what we like. We like the fact that it's so quirky, and that probably against an actual single target armored situation, Ceobe's probably better than Asia Fala if properly leveled, just because she has all of that extra damage buffs and extra utility.
Sounds great to me.
So, yeah, again, she's more of a mission specialist. She's not going to do the same thing Asia Fala will. Don't expect her to, but if you're on the mission she specializes in, she will absolutely dominate. She's kind of similar to Ifrit in that regard.
Slightly less maniac and murderous, though, I imagine.
Yeah,
few things in this game, aside from maybe Lappland, are as maniac and murderous as Aja is.
Pretty much. As Asia is, as Ifrit is.
Ifrit, sorry, wrong name.
Yeah, I'm like, Asia follows a sweetheart.
Yeah, no, Aja's nice. She's cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, Ceobe is definitely a boss killer that you're very much... If you need a boss killer, she's very good. In fact, her mission profile, when you get down to it, is actually very similar to that of Schwarz, because she puts a lot of damage on very specific enemies.
Yep. Schwarz is just for... Well, Schwarz can kill pretty much anything that we have at this point in the game with pretty relative ease, whereas Ceobe is more for, like, armored enemies, and she'll have an easier time against armor than Schwarz will anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. As I said, we're kind of in a... like... It's a similar mission profile, but obviously it's not exactly the same, because no two units have exactly the same mission profile.
And that's one thing that's so great about this game. They vary up the units, and they may have similar things that they do, but they will do them in different ways or to different effects.
Yeah, it's like, as I mentioned before, Ceobe is a single target mage like Asia Fala, but they're completely different in their implementation. So using one or the other, or using both, one isn't automatically better or worse than the other. Ceobe isn't a troll if you already have Asia. Which is one of the things I really like about this game, is that everyone plays differently, everyone works differently, everyone has their uses, except maybe Scotty. Never going to get over the fact that She's so boring. She has
boring,
her uses,
as I
though,
continue to say, does not mean bad.
Nope.
It's a big old puzzle, and you have a lot of pieces at hand.
Pretty much.
And I think it's one of the things that makes the game really cool, because it's like, all right,
yeah,
I like how this ends up coming out. I do.
Turns out, depth of gameplay is a nice way to slow down power creep.
Yeah. I would make the serious, honest argument that there basically is no power creep in
Yet.
Yet.
It will come.
It may. Like, we're deep into Hong Kong and seeing the future. I'm noticing that having seen the future, I'm noticing that they're still maintaining this design decision of, okay, they just released a new single target. Not single target. They just released a new 6-star tank, making our 4th 6-star tank, and none of them do anything different. I mean, sorry.
All of them do something different.
All of them do something different. None of them do anything the same. I mixed those two words up in those two sentences up in my mind and ended up saying the exact opposite of what I meant. Go me.
Good morning, Galen.
Good morning. More coffee.
Why coffee, though?
If I have to explain this to you, you've already lost.
Or one, depending on your perspective.
No, you definitely lost.
Only from your perspective.
Yeah, but my perspective matters and counts. Anyway. So yeah, cool new event, cool new banner. Also we're getting 100 free stamina a day, which is nice. We like getting free energy and get to do more stuff without having to spend those valuable primes. I will probably have Ceobe at Elite 2 by tomorrow, so we're going to get to see her on stream later this week. I want to say Monday, possibly Tuesday, but we're going to get a chance to see her in action at her full, maybe not full potential, but very high up there.
Fancy.
And that's about all there is for Arknights. Just wanted to go over Ceobe and how crazy her skill set was. It is wonderful.
Sounds like it. I look forward to utilizing her. I don't have her personally, but I'll look forward to using other people's.
Well, I have mine shared, so again, not E2 yet. I'm working on it. I'm down to just cast. Actually, over the course of this podcast, I finished getting her crafting mats together.
Awesome.
So, shall we move on from one strategic tower defense game to one strategic tactical game and talk a little bit about Fire Emblem Heroes?
Sure. Kite, what do you have for us?
So, let's see here. Apparently there's supposed to be a news regarding the next legendary hero, but I guess they're still trying to give us some time to think about it, because according to the event list for the month of August and early September, that the legendary hero banner will be on the 31st of the month.
Okay.
We still don't know who it is, but we're supposed to wait and see on what it'll be. Probably by later tonight, Pacific time, which which will be, or I'll be discussing on the next episode. But we've got an upcoming Voting Gauntlet, which features the Choose Your Houses units. They're pitting up against the heroes who are, storyline-wise, possessed by evil or became fallen, dark, and sadistic. So, you've got 4 choices here.
Dimitri, dark and sadistic? Who would have guessed?
Okay, well, they're going to pit up against the evil characters, or let's say possessed characters, of each game, which is from other Fire Emblem games. So,
okay.
Edelgard will pit up against Fallen Celica.
Interesting.
Shadows of Valentia. Dimitri will pit up against Fallen Berkut, also from Shadows of Valentia. Claude, Golden Deer fans, will pit up against Takumi from Fire Emblem Fates. Of course, we know him as...
have this face.
Of course, we got the betrayal in their minds. And best girl Lysithea pitting up against the possessed version of the young Tiki.
Another young Tiki. Can we please get adult Tiki back?
No, it's still this. It's still fallen young Tiki's from last year. We don't have a new Tiki yet as of book 4.
It's still annoying.
And I suppose this means that the Robin that is possessed by Grima is a bit too old to be featured in this gauntlet, right?
Nah. I think they've done it before when I have left the game on other.
No, okay, so so it was part of a previous gauntlet, which is why this makes sense. Whoops, perfect. Continue.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. So you can still be able to summon the Choose Your Legends Year 4 heroes of your choice as your favorite if you want to support them for the Voting Gauntlet. Of course, there will be rewards like orbs, divine codes if there is any, hero feathers, and much more as the competition goes on, and hopefully I'll be tackling them up one by one, or maybe on the final results on the next episode. So whoever's playing Fire Emblem Heroes and is listening to this podcast right now, let me tell you, go for the deer, either Claude or Lysithea. There, keep your devotion to the golden deer, guys. I'm telling you. Okay, so nothing else is interesting so far, except we have a 2x SP event that's happening every weekend, so farm up those SPs for your unit skills.
Okay.
And don't forget your daily Hall of Forms, which you can also get orbs and dragon flowers this way. They'll be pretty useful.
Okay.
That's all for the really rather short and interesting Fire Emblem Heroes topic, and let's go from an incredibly hyped game to a rather sad one. What's up, Rana? What do we got?
Well, that's part of the reason I feel conflicted today because of what I did with Valkyrie Anatomia.
Yeah, I think this is going to be our last discussion for this game.
Oh, absolutely. Precisely because the notice of termination announced that it would end on the last day of August. Yeah, and we are currently recording on the 29th.
So this game may or may not still continue to even exist by the time this episode is edited and releases.
Yeah.
So I did what I said I'd do at the time of announcement and caught up on every last bit of story the game had, because that was the best part of it.
Yep.
And boy, did they deliver to the end.
Oh.
Even though it's not the end of the story in a narrative standpoint, because the game still continues in JP.
Of course.
And so the game's story continues, meaning that the global version will have an unfinished story for good. At least they finished a season. They went all the way to have Ragnarok start and eventually get interrupted by the bond between Lenneth, which is revealed to be pretty much the true trigger of Ragnarok, and whose function is not only to deal the world the last blow, but also to decide the first spark of the next world.
Which fits in with what happened in Valkyrie Profile 1.
Exactly, and it turns out that's very much her intended function.
Interesting.
Something that Star Ocean and Amnesis never even did to finish a story arc. At least Valkyrie Anatomia was able to finish at least one story arc.
Yeah, a season, they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all told from this mysterious old man in a cave, which is revealed indeed to be just like everyone suspected, Odin.
I'm surprised about the plot twist regarding the ending of Season 1 for this game. I'm still surprised.
Well, which plot twist you talking about?
Lenneth being the one who triggers Ragnarok.
Well, that's... Yeah,
Not really a plot twist. Again, it's just a recontextualization of what we've already seen from the very first Valkyrie profile. It's not... Like, I even went and said, oh, that sounds familiar, and all I'm told now is that it's actually intended.
Really, the twist is more than that Lenneth's bond with her and Herja essentially cancels the Ragnarok.
Oh.
And that means that Season 2 is where it lands after that, because Lenneth is out of order completely, as are most of the gods after being hunted down to almost the last by the humans led by Emperor Shiloh II.
Wow.
Which is why it's a problem when the old man telling the tales of the end of the world realizes that one people in his audience in this cave turns out to be a commander of the Thracian army.
Huh.
Wow.
Yeah, it sounds problematic.
Which is how... Yeah, eventually he ends up captured and scheduled for execution many, many years later. And
Yikes.
he is... Either he is indeed completely powerless, or because of the whole acquiring all the wisdom of the world and thus learning that fighting is futile, is unwilling to exert any of his power. That doesn't mean he does get executed, however, and he ends up rescued by a Munin of all people, which leveled up and became ruler of Niflheim.
Wow.
And some sort of edgy one-winged angel guy swooping in to the rescue.
Sure.
But not before Odin
surprising.
managed to deliver one of the coolest one-liner, because if you remember, Shiloh II, after an incident during a fight, ended up having the left part of his face burned and thus covered in a mask. And Odin lost his left eye, which is why it makes sense both physically and in mentality-wise when he tells Shiloh, fashioning himself more and more as the only god of humanity, remember my face well. One morning you will look in the mirror and my face will be looking back at you. Essentially threatening him that if he continues with his god complex, he's going to become another Odin, including the worst part of it.
Fun.
Yeah. And then...
And here I thought Odin was getting back to his penchant for bodyjacking like he was trying to do in, sort of preparing to do at any rate in VP2.
Yeah. No, here he is brilliant in his air that he is pretty much completely above the plot.
Sure.
Also, they even include a character which is pretty much an off-brand lizard that gives Shiloh II's Valkyrie named Alice the ability to become a real Valkyrie-like entity by performing inhuman experiments. That gets him locked in a dungeon and then unlocked because he is too smart to be locked away.
Yeah, that does sound like a low rent. That does sound like a low rent lizard.
Oh yeah,
pretty much.
How is that not actually lizard?
I know, right?
It's not even lizard at all when I think about it.
That's seriously.
Yeah, no, he just. Yeah.
Are we sure this isn't a young clone of lizard?
Oh yeah, absolutely not sure, and we'll never know. That's the problem. The strangest part, if he is actually lizard, is that his plan regarding Alice isn't making her any more like Lenneth. The ones that do work on a Lenneth clone of sorts is the Vanir, the remainder of which are in Niflheim, led by Munin, and are working on a Valkyrie on their own. Because as it turns out, when you're in literal hell, you have a lot of souls to work with for your experiments.
Okay.
Just because there's no more Valkyrie doesn't mean the slain don't descend to hell.
Actually, I'm pretty sure it means the exact opposite. It means they would all end up going to Niflheim because there's no one to guide them to Valhalla.
Exactly, which isn't really a problem because Valhalla is empty.
Huh.
And so instead, they are using these souls to try to go one step further than just remaking this world's Valkyrie Anatomia, and to remake Woglinde, the one that essentially inspired Leneth, and the one Sephiroth was enamored with.
Okay.
There are a lot more details, a lot more cool twists and turns, but yeah, the point is that the story is still really good.
Yeah.
And for all the faults of this game, I wanted to take some time to remember this part.
No, I think that's a good thing. I think that's appropriate. I think Valkyrie, its best parts were always its creatives.
Exactly.
And it's a shame that they treated it as badly as they did and never gave it a chance to grow.
And I have to say, though, it's certainly a strange experience to connect to a game on its last few days.
Yeah.
The first strangest thing that you can see, even before even launching the game, I thought this was just because I hadn't updated it, but no, it still has the logo from the first anniversary.
Oof.
Written in golden letter. Almost tauntingly.
It sounds like what I did with Mobius on the day before the final day. Yikes.
Yeah, except Mobius didn't have... Happy birthday, us, as the logo.
Ah, right.
That is painful is what that is.
But having to update it on the day before the final day and then it shuts down, it's really sad. To catch up, make your final farewells, and off you go.
And there's other strange stuff too, like for instance, there's no active event. They're just rolling the usual weekly bosses, this time all at once, and giving us 3,000 gems a day. And here's a banner with 30% artifact rate, and go wild. Everything is up there. No, just kidding. The 5-star extra premium special units are still 0.03% chance.
Yikes!
Yikes, indeed.
At this point, it just doesn't seem right to expend energy complaining about that. That was a very poor change, and they clearly paid for it.
Yep, and took it to that room.
It's a real shame that a game this creatively interesting and poignant ended up going the way that it did on a mechanical level.
Yeah.
I wish it had more of a chance than it did, but I can't say I'm sorry to see it go.
I'm pretty much the same there.
And I think that's almost the biggest tragedy of Valkyrie Anatomia, of just how much potential it had.
Yes, the story, if they could manage to find a way to just take the story, I would play the visual novel, or I would read the online transcript of the plot in a heartbeat. And I'm not a big reader, but that's a very good story.
Yeah.
It just wasn't necessarily attached to a very good game.
Which is the shame, because sometimes, actually what you just said, at least in that term, was my exact thought of FF7 Remake, in fact.
Ah, well then.
Yeah, it's just a wonderful cinematic experience that I absolutely adored everything about except actually playing it.
Well, there's this commercial element, which really drove it over the edge for me.
We'll just have to enjoy the game in its final moments, as always.
I mean, some of y'all will. I'm not logging back in. I'm good and done.
And I did what I wanted to do.
You did. And I'm glad you did. And I'm glad you got to experience that, because that was the best part of the game. And I'm glad we got to give it the tribute it's due, at least briefly.
Yes.
Indeed.
Another game, though, that had certainly commercial problems right at launch was Pokemon Masters.
So,
I mean...
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Something is quite awkward.
Yeah, what? Something just got launched. I saw some sort of news for it and was like half awake, so I didn't care all that much. But what's going on with Pokemon?
Well, what's going on is that they are reaching their first anniversary.
They've been around that long?
Yep, it's already been a year now.
Oh, wow, my poor brain. Alright, so what's going on with that?
Well, what's going on is that, I mean, I'm not actively playing, and I don't know anyone that is, so we can't really give you the inside information, but I have the Pokemon newsletters somehow. Haven't unsubscribed from it. I guess the pace they send news is reasonable enough that I never cared to do so.
Fair enough. That's a good sign, at least.
Yeah. And they have went apparently through some system changes, some sort of power level. The way they described it, with a change in outfit for old launch units, almost seemed like a New Visions upgrade, honestly. And they reflect it to the point where they are changing the name of the app.
Yeah.
It's now Pokemon Master EX.
They're changing the name of... Okay.
Just to add EX to it.
They have added the EX to it. This is almost looks like the Dissidia FFB.
No, that's not what it looks like to me. The way it looks like to me, honestly, is a way to try and draw back in people that saw the game at launch and were like, oh, this is actually really stingy and kind of bad.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that.
So much that the producer had to produce an apology letter.
Oh,
on the first
ow!
month.
Yay! That's something.
Yeah, that hurts.
And my guess is that essentially by changing the name of the app and sending this big news, they're essentially trying to pull off an A Realm Reborn.
Okay.
Which is, to provide context, Final Fantasy XIV, when it launched, was a terrible MMORPG.
Yeah, the original launch was an utter disaster. I was watching a lot of YouTube videos where they were just thrashing this thing.
Basically a dumpster fire.
And they just dropped a moon on it, literally.
Literally.
And called the first kind of expansion that was more of a complete rework, A Realm Reborn. And it sounds like this is not nearly as drastic a change, but they're trying the name change to say, hey, this is kind of a new experience compared to what it was at launch.
It's to the point where, like, I'm a more recent 14 player. I don't even consider ARR, A Realm Reborn, an expansion. It's just, that's vanilla, is what that is.
Yeah, that's how most people see it. But technically, it's like in World of Warcraft, the Cataclysm was put in place of Burning Crusade.
Yeah. Which would have meant we would have lost our best expansion, which is sad, but well, whatever.
Well, then Burning Crusade would have been in place of Cataclysm.
Then Wrath would have still happened.
Which would make sense, because the fourth expansion in FF14 is the one where you go to another world. The plot goes deeper.
Well, yeah, the fourth expansion in 14 is the one, but by your logic, the third would be where you go to another world in WoW. This is getting to be a dumb conversation. Let's move on.
Yes, let's move on. As I've said, I don't have any inside information, but maybe if you liked the idea of Pokemon Masters, but didn't like what the game state, it might be worth checking out again.
Yeah, I would love to hear what sort of changes they made, because I remember originally I was just like, ooh, this sounds awful.
Yeah, the original state of the game was, shall we say, not great.
Yeah. I would love to hear if this update is successful, how successful it was, what got changed. I'd love to get a report on this. Unfortunately, none of us play it. I don't think any of us are going to play it.
I could try and check it out, but I make no guarantee. Honestly, I think our best chance would be if Ryan would be willing to take the dip, since I know he was the one that played it the longest.
Yeah, we'll reach out to him and see if we can make that work and he can give us a report. I think that would probably be the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If this is a big change, then it's always worth exploring and seeing what it is they're capable of, and I, for one, am at least interested to see what they're trying. Whether or not it succeeds is a whole other conversation, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, certainly respect at the very least, given the way the gacha games market is, but they're trying to fix the game rather than just throw it away and get a brand new one.
You know, like Valkyrie.
Like Valkyrie.
Like Valkyrie. Well, rest in peace, Valkyrie Anatomia. A lot of people I may have played for the story, enjoyed the last moments. As for Pokemon
and
please,
enjoy your new life Pokemon Masters, and I hope you actually turn it into a game people enjoy.
Yeah.
And with that, let's go ahead and move on to
War of Divisions.
Move on to War of the Visions. What do we got?
Mm-hmm.
We got another Final Fantasy Tactics collab.
Yay! Arknights is here!
How is Agrias? Tell me she's good.
Well, there's other units too.
None that matter.
I knew it!
Hey, no. Honestly, Veritas' LB animation is really cool looking.
What skill?
I'm sure it is, but he's not Agrias. What does she do? Tell me about her.
Are you sure you don't want to save the best for last, Galen?
You know what? That's a good point. All right, let's talk about Delita and whoever else.
Funny thing. Delita's name in the War of Divisions, the epitaph, it's called One Who Has Not.
That actually makes sense, considering the story of Tactics. That seems like it's the early one where he's still, while a squire, still, a commoner and thus looked down upon and messed with. So that actually makes sense.
Is his commoner, he's a commoner design, and his job one is squire.
Okay, so
even though
fair point.
To be clear on that, something they clarified in the video where they announced it. Well, his job name Squire is the same as Ramza. It's not technically the same job and doesn't use the same enhancement materials as Ramza's Squire.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
The same in name, but neither in logo nor in actual function.
Yeah, Delita is more of an offensive type. Or am I wrong?
I think Awen would agree with you that Delita is offensive.
I don't hate the guy.
Just compared to Agrias.
The type of damage he does the role he does as a squire. I mean, if Ramza is support based, again, if I'm wrong.
So, talking about the units themselves, let's start with Mysterio.
Okay.
He is an Earth Elemental MR rarity, so that's one rank under UR.
Right.
And he is a machinist with secondary jobs as Ranger and Thief.
That sounds about right, though. Thief is an interesting... I don't know. Rogue actually sounds like it might be a good fit for him now that I think about it. I might have to try that next time I do a Tactics playthrough. Anyway, go on.
So basically, he's a gun guy, of course.
Shocked.
But unlike the main gun users we have, which are Lucia and Frederica, Mysterio isn't really the best at dealing just raw damage. What he's good at is inflicting a lot of status ailments along with his shot.
That actually sounds a lot like Mustadio in general.
Yeah,
so.
That's
exactly.
Seal Evil. If I'm
Seal
not
Evil,
mistaken.
for instance, which inflicts Petrify. He has Power Shot to inflict Blind. He has Arm Shot to inflict Disable.
It's pretty Mustadio for me.
That
Seal
sounds
Evil
very
inflicting
Mustadio, yeah.
Yeah. So
Stone
should
inflicting
things get
Seal
status
Evil.
effects along with it.
Okay.
And for his TMI, you have Besrudio, which is, again, with 103 attack, some HP, a lot of accuracy. But it lowers your evasion.
So it makes you
lowers
more
your
accurate
evasion.
and enemies more accurate.
Exactly. Everyone's more accurate.
So that actually kind of makes sense because he was more of a sniper than he was a dodger. So I kind of get that. You kind of do need to protect the guy.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
So he fills kind of this niche, which makes him actually an interesting character even at his rarity. Which makes it a shame that, unlike Gefgarion, he is not automatically available.
Oh.
He is part of the banner at a normal rate, but you have to pull for him.
Yikes.
So, then you have Delita, which is part of... the banner is spread into two, with one that focuses on Agrias and one that focuses on Delita,
Wait,
depending
Delita
on your
what?
preference.
What is it?
Delita Hyral.
Oh, okay.
So, he is a fire elemental squire with secondary job as a soldier and a paladin.
Okay.
And he hurts a lot. He has stun throw, but that doesn't matter anymore because we can actually disable the skill.
Yep,
Thank you very much.
You can have him not chuck a rock.
He has some decent status effect as well, like Cleansing Straight to inflict doom, or Crush Accessory to just suck up on the enemy's AP.
He really shouldn't have these moves yet. That's Chapter 2 Delita, not Chapter 1 Delita. But, go on.
Apparently he wasn't aware. He also has the ability to lower fire resist with his Karma Blade.
Karma Blade. Wait, if his limit burst is Hallowed Bolt, why is he Fire Elemental?
Because it's not allowed enough.
That's all.
Also, Ramza already have the spot, so Delita, being a have-not, could not have the Holy Elemental attribute.
Not.
Okay, that just...
Mechanical tie-ins.
Cool.
So, more seriously now. He also has, if you get his Squire as his main job, he randomly has a magical move in Fire Raga Blade.
Okay. How's it? Does his magic stat work with that at all?
No.
Okay.
Because he has bad magic.
Yikes.
But it's there, I guess.
Okay, so that's a move you're going to want to disable by the sounds of it, yeah.
Exactly.
Cool.
Which you can now.
Being
And
able to do
overall,
things is nice.
He is pretty much Orlando without a beard.
That makes sense, I guess, considering that it sounds like he's really taken after, again, Chapter 2 Holy Knight Delita, so...
Yeah.
Okay. He sounds like he's a good addition to any team.
Yeah. Of note regarding Orlando, the previous units are also available as part of these banners, and you can get some shards from even the event currency, meaning that if, for instance, you have an Orlando that is 30 shards from being maxed out, but you couldn't max out in time, now you can.
This sounds like you know this from personal experience.
And now I did.
Okay. I'm like, that sounds like an oddly specific scenario, so I'm sure that's not just hypothetical.
Yes.
I'm sure everyone who is dying to get their Orlando's MLB'd will not have a chance to do so.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Alright. So, enough teasing you around, let's talk about Exvius.
One of my favorite Final Fantasy ladies of all time. I love this girl.
Lady Exvius Oaks.
Yup. Very rarely, especially in Final Fantasy, do you see a girl in heavy armor who's clearly a girl who's just a flat-out attacker. Like, they don't make any bones about it. She is one of the most interesting characters in the early part of FF Tactics, and in War of the Lions, you could turn her into almost as powerful as Orlando. I want to hear if she... Okay, first I'm going to ask the obvious question. Stasis Sword, Crush Punch, Hallowed Bolt, Holy Explosion, and I'm missing one.
It seems to be Divine Ruination.
Holy Explosion and Divine Ruination. I'm using the old translations for Exvius because they like calling it Stasis Sword instead of whatever that one was. Which is the one that became Northwind Strike? Doesn't matter. Tell me about her. Does she have her moves?
I will just list her main job's skills then.
Sure.
Princess Whirlguard, Northwind Strike,
good.
Hallowed Bolt,
good.
Judgment Blade,
good.
Talisman,
good.
Whirlguard's Protection, Full Break, and I Believe in You.
Okay.
I Believe in You being originally in JP, a buff for attack and magic to a melee ally of your choice. But in GL, they decided that she can cheer girls too.
Good. Hashtag feminism. Pause.
Yes.
I want to watch this video you just showed me.
By all means.
Me too. Considering the light text in the moon runes, is it really Divine Ruination?
Yeah, that's Holy Explosion. That's old school Holy Explosion.
Yep, because of the light text, the second one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Unpause. Alright, so... It didn't sound like she had Stasis Sword, and that's kind of her, like, signature move there. Did I miss that, or...?
Does she have that?
No, if you want to inflict stuff, you have to use Judgment Blade for that.
Oh, that's the translation version of Stasis Sword.
Oh, okay. Judgment Blade.
Alright.
Yeah. In Agrius's case, I do tend to use the new translations of the Holy Knight moves, but in Agrius's case, I like calling it Stasis Sword.
To be perfectly fair, since I didn't pull for her, because even if Agrius is really cool, she is still a limited unit.
Yeah, we all know how that turns out in that game.
Yeah. So I am going off the wiki, and the wiki is going on a lot of translated by hand JP information. For instance, the changes to I Believe in You is not reflected in the wiki's information.
Cool. No, I'm glad I wanted to bring this up the last couple of times this was brought up. I'm actually really glad they're removing the gendered buffs.
Yeah.
Like, that's always bothered me.
I certainly don't mind that.
Yeah, so having Agrius be more generalist and not requiring her to give her support to a dude, I'm like, that sends a bad message.
Yeah.
And
isn't Agrius mostly female related? I mean, just like in FFBE where she can only cover female allies.
Sort of. I will say she and Ramza did get real close, and Mustadio clearly had a big crush on her.
Oh yeah, of course. Not to mention the birthday event.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm...
I crush on her because he can use crush accessory. I get it.
You did that, not me. So, yeah, no, it just... It doesn't feel right for Japan basically to go, well, she's here to buff guys. And I'm like, that was never Agrius's job in Tactics. Chill out. And now they're like, she can buff anyone. Okay, you know what? I'm a lot more cool with that.
Alright. Her main job isn't even a buff level. She is mostly used as a tank.
What's her element?
Ice. She is ice elemental.
That actually makes sense considering Stasis Sword or Judgment Blade or whatever you call it has that like ice look to it. So I get that.
Yeah.
Though she should also have thunder and holy damage for what should be obvious reasons.
Yes. But here it's all ice, baby.
Okay.
So her TMR reflects her wall pretty well because it's a big old armor with 488 HP, which is big.
That sounds pretty
and
good.
a lot of spirits, and the ability to self-bestow both protect and shell.
Nice.
Which is pretty much halving all of the damage from the next 3 moves.
Rana,
Yes?
does it have the lipstick available with this event? I mean,
No.
I was expecting Agrias' TMR to be the Tynar Rug.
Nope, it's her armor.
I see. It's still pretty thick. Thick in
It is.
buffs, HP.
So, regarding her role as a tank, she has skills such as Royal Guard's protection for that, which isn't taunt or cover directly, but helps by providing a magical damage barrier for all allies within an area.
Ooh.
The area being right around her. She also has as a counter ability literally defend.
Okay.
Which literally defends.
I'm shocked.
And she's got a full break, just in case you need to lower all stats. This does mean, though, that if you want to taunt with her, you need to set her as a paladin, which does have taunting blade.
Okay.
In which case you lose on the AoE barrier.
Interesting. So she's almost more of a support if you go that route.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then her third job is cleric, in case you want to go more support.
What kind of
which is
healing she got?
just a cure. As far as clerics go, she is a support even as a cleric, not a healer. She has a basic cure, and the rest is damage that lowers agility, damage based on magic, Izuna, light resist up, dark resist up.
Okay. So it does sound like she's sort of all the way between attacker, defender, and support. Like she can bounce between those jobs. Sounds like she isn't as offensively focused as Delita, which makes sense, but still has quite a few good offensive moves, including Judgment Blade and her LB, which is good. So I like what I'm seeing.
Yeah, she is apparently a very solid character, and probably the most prized of this banner, not just because of her style, but because what she provides is more in demand than Delita's status effects or the like.
Well, there we have it.
Good luck to whoever's going to summon for Agrias then.
Yeah. And one nice thing, I mean, I shouldn't say it's one nice thing, it's more one bad thing they thankfully didn't do.
Okay.
Is that even for this limited banner, they still have the pity system introduced with Kilfa, where if you don't get any UR unit in a pool, including these limited pools, you get the gauge. If you get it to full, the next gauge has a UR guaranteed.
Good. Good. I'm glad they still have that.
Yeah, if they keep that, then that's good, especially for limited time stuff. Doesn't guarantee any specific unit, but
yes. The closest we've got to guaranteeing a specific unit is a step up that is paid only, that is 3 steps on the third step after 6,000 paid lapis, you get a UI guaranteed from the collaboration, which could be Ramsar Orlando.
Oh no! Oh wow, that is brutal. How much in real money, roughly, is 6,000 paid Visior?
Oof. Too much is what it is.
Okay.
Oof, indeed.
Yikes. War of the Visions, stop this! Stop! This is not okay! Ugh!
What is okay is free stuff.
We like free stuff. What's up?
As this deep analysis podcast said once before, free stuff good.
Yeah.
It's always good.
So basically, War of the Visions looked at FFBE saying, here's a free 10+1 every week, and said, hold my drink of choice, and gave that free 10+1 every day for the next 2 weeks, not up until October, obviously. But what's interesting about it, on top of the fact that it's there and that's nice,
okay,
is that they have a way to stack them. Which is that even if you don't want to pull all of your free summons right now and want to wait until the last day and summon 150 units in a row, you can stack up on these summons.
Okay.
So you can save up those summons until the last day and summon them all together.
Exactly.
That's a pretty nice build-up for RNG, but you said limited time are not included?
Oh no, I didn't say it, but they're not included. And by the way, I am in the Visior shop right now. It's unfortunate because they literally don't even have natively a pack big enough to include 6,000 paid Visior.
Man.
The biggest is 5,000 paid Visior at 90 euros.
Oh!
That's how much it is.
That's about $100, maybe 110.
Yikes.
Yep.
And that's not even enough for oh my god, that is brutal.
Wow.
War of Visions, what are you doing?
That's a terrible
well, certainly making things complicated if you want to wail out.
Yeah.
I almost feel like this is discouraging whaling, which is hilarious because it looks like it's doing the exact opposite.
They do try to balance things out, though, with things like the free pools or other initiatives.
Like what?
One is that they have changed the daily quest. Now it's better. You get more rewards. You get twice as much Visio per day.
Good.
You get 3 times as much upgrade materials every day as well.
Nice.
You get more resources from doing a variety of stuff, and some of it is more accessible if it's just one of these days where you just want to do your chores and get on with it. So that's pretty nice. But more significantly, they've added 2 challenge boards. One is related to the events and gives you Mustadio shards and the like.
Okay.
Which was to be expected, pretty much. And the other is a permanent addition for new players, where you get from doing some simple missions free shadow links for everyone. And then you have missions related to enhancing her in various ways that eventually unlock another board and then another board. If you finish the first and second board, you get a free ticket with a UR guaranteed. And on the third board, you even get a very specific UR unit guaranteed, which is Medina. Meaning that every player that does enough tasks for 3 days gets a Medina, period. And then some ways to enhance her.
I seem to recall that Medina was very good.
Yeah, Medina, I mean, she's fun enough because right now mages aren't really researched and sought after, I mean. But Medina was sought after from the start because of something she still really does very well, and that's farming.
Okay.
Because her LB fires off right away, and hits in a huge AoE. And she's still very good at that, and that's not going to change anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
And now everyone can get her. Plus a few bits of equipment for her to get a platinum rod and the likes. It's nice. It's a nice addition, I think.
Yeah, getting
the
free stuff
choice
is
of
good.
unit is pretty cool too.
Yep. Everybody's also getting Medina would be pretty nice.
Yeah, it is. And on that is it for War Divisions, and we can be wheeled towards this week's topic.
Yep, it's a big cluster of stuff in World Division, so good luck with Agrias. Anyway, how do we got... yeah, Des?
So for this week's topic, we're actually looking at kind of the ways that gachas try to hook you or reel you in. Basically, how they encourage you to either continue playing if you start the game or to begin spending in the game through, various things. So what do you guys think about this? What do you think are some of the most common ways that they try to, reel you in?
Generally,
two things.
Generally speaking,
one, I got.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Let's figure this out.
Too polite.
Who's going first?
Okay, fine. I'll go.
Go.
Two things. One, I got the unit I wanted. Two, game is fun. That was how it worked for FFB in particular. I got the unit I wanted, which was any unit from the new Automata collab.
Right.
And then I played the game, and it turns out it's a pretty good game.
You see, for me, I
know from that beforehand, I played a lot of Record Keeper. Even before that, Terror Battle. Terror Battle didn't really get any really fancy things when it came to pool, but the game was pretty fun, so I played it for a while. Record Keeper, it was pretty fun for a while, and then things got creeped up, and they've added more and more systems that made it less and less engaging to stay along with.
Right.
And yeah, I think the best hook and the best way to keep me in a game is if your main game system is fun. You need solid foundations.
Yeah, you see, for me, like, I will spend a fair bit of time as a free-to-play in most games that I play of these, though admittedly the only one I played was Arknights, and that one I didn't even bother free-to-play with. I put $1 down for Gummy immediately. But...
Love at first sight.
A little bit, but it was $1 for a really good unit to start the game with. $1. $1.
Unos dólares.
Exactly.
A big deal. It's a really big deal.
Yeah.
So, by the way, I do not speak Spanish.
No.
To make perfectly clear.
Clearly, that was not... Clearly, that was not accurate Spanish. I'm not even... I live in LA. I hear a lot of Spanish. I may not speak it, but I know correct when I hear it, and that wasn't. Not that it matters, because the joke was there. Generally speaking, for me, unfortunately, and this is kind of where I get caught in my own trap, when a game gets its hooks into me, I start considering spending when I feel like I'm at a disadvantage for not. And I think the environment of most gacha games really kind of sets that up in that way. And tries to make you feel like, yeah, you could do good free to play, but why don't you try putting a little money in the pot and see what some skin in the game gets you? And unfortunately, I do and have fallen victim to that. It's very insidious too, because when I feel like I can't, the biggest one for me is when I feel like I can't catch up to my friends, regardless of whether or not they're spending. And I'm like...
The social element is a big reason why these games work.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And I feel like that's almost one of the ways that it's designed to get you. I feel like it's one of the ways this genre is designed to poke at you.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why they really should invest more in community management.
They really should. Now again, Arknights does it different because I am very not tempted to pay for pulls at all. Like, that's just never been a thing that's been a real factor.
Mm-hmm.
I bought...
So I'd say in a way that before things were different, but since you realized there was a problem with the risk of spending, essentially a game not being too aggressive with the monetization becomes a hook.
A little bit. But it's also different what I'm buying. You see, before when I was getting into it, it was mostly about gambling addiction. But this time around, with Arknights and specifically, I'm okay putting money here and there for things that aren't gambling. I don't pay for pulls. I pay for costumes, which you just purchase and then have permanently, regardless of whether or not you have the character.
Mm-hmm.
And refreshes, which get you more playtime. That's absolutely guaranteed. You don't gamble on refreshes. You hit the refresh button and you get what you're going to get out of that.
Yep.
Which I do find to be a lot healthier, all told. So it has its hook in me a very different way. It has its hook by being a more friendly game. And that I would have effectively the same amount of units I would have if I were 100% free-to-play, with the exception of one extra gummy for $1.
I think what I'm getting from it is that both in the game's design, in the game's release space when it comes to event, and in the game's way it monetizes things, it's low pressure.
It is.
This game very much is low pressure, yes, Arknights.
Des, why don't you tell us about how did Piece of That Gacha hooked you or willed you in?
You know what? Honestly, for me, I think one way that I think in general that they pull you in is whenever you're starting the game, right?
Yeah.
They usually have like some kind of a quest system or reward system where, as you progress through the game, then you get stuff, right?
Like a free Mediana.
Right, or whether that's leveling up and getting, rewards from that. But
beginners bonuses.
Mm-hmm, exactly. So as you kind of go in, then they're like, oh, they kind of get you used to having the ability to like pull more, or get you used to having the ability to play more because you're having more of the the energy system that the game gives, So
yeah, in particular, I remember in Grand Blue Fantasy, I literally could not spend my stamina faster than I gained her. Right. When I gained it.
And that's usually
because every time I did a couple of stages and expended a little bit of stamina, I regained a full bar because I ranked up.
Yeah, and I think that's one way that a lot of these games do it. It's not gonna. There's kind of, I think, a lot of different ways that they try to reel people in, and so for some people, that's gonna be, oh, hey, the pace of this game is really good because I'm getting a lot of sanity, or for others, I'm able to pull a lot because the first time I clear each stage, I'm getting extra pull currency or whatnot. How about you, Kite? What do you think is kind of one of the ways that the games have pulled you in?
The music. It's always been the music.
Interesting.
Music, huh? Okay.
Because there's some games that has really good soundtracks, and prior to playing FFB at the time, I literally cried upon hearing the battle theme, and it just got me into playing the game at least once.
Mm-hmm.
But it was not the same with Fire Emblem Heroes, because when I got from a friend got me to play Fire Emblem Heroes at the time, and they said, "Oh, hey, Kite, Ike is around. Do you want to go around and play Fire Emblem Heroes during the Hero Fest manner?" I said, "Yeah, sure." And they helped me in with the details on how to summon, and it's incredibly different than the other gacha games I played. So, after getting Ike, with the help of a few friends who helped me start up, I got hooked and started to play it, and slowly over time, even though the rewards are really plentiful, at least there's a lot of campaigns going on. I begin to hook on with how the game works, and for the past 3 or 2.5 years that I played Fire Emblem Heroes, I still like it. But around the time they went to Book 3 and Book 4, it's obvious that what got me into the most was the music.
Okay.
Shoutouts to Noriyasu Agematsu for FFPE.
That soundtrack is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a big fan of his previous works for Chaos Springs, and he does not disappoint in it. I really like the main battle theme.
Season 3's overworld theme just literally got me teared up. So every time I hear it in the overworld when doing Season 3 quest, there's always tears in my eyes.
Now, Space in the chat is talking a lot about character art, and how much does character art and character design draw you into one of these games? Because I actually gotta say, to be honest, the character designs are actually kind of a big factor for me. It's just not what I tend to think about so much, but that's just me starting the game to begin with. FFBE had the sprite work and bringing to life a lot of old school Final Fantasy characters and even 3D ones who got beautifully ported back down to 2D. That was a factor. I love Arknights character designs. I've been very open about that. How often is that a factor in getting into these games?
I imagine it's often a factor a lot, but for me, I don't think that really applies. It's something that can enhance a game I'm already interested in, but I know that if the foundation isn't there, if the main gameplay loop isn't something I enjoy, I will simply not stay in the game for long.
Yeah.
Even if it has, as has been mentioned in Spacebird's command, top tier waifus.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Fire Emblem Heroes also has a lot of character art designs made by various artists. So fan service is also a thing there.
Yeah.
That Bailiff and Rhea duo in it is woof.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I can't stand it.
All right. This is a family-friendly show, y'all.
Yeah.
Let's tone it down, maybe.
We're just talking about a family-friendly game.
We do.
But yeah, I mean, there's a reason why they, as you've said, invite guest artists and generally spend a lot of work with fleshing the characters. Because while the fundamental system is something that matters a lot to me and that is overall very solid, the fundamental systems of a game do not have a face. The characters do, and a lot of time that face is going all the way up to the app's icon.
Yeah. So they've got to have that, I think.
Yeah.
You in order to draw players in, I think these games do need, I don't know. I'm trying to put my thoughts into words here. Graphics are clearly important. Obviously, they're not the be-all, end-all, but as a hook, as getting someone hooked in, as getting them reeled in to start in with the ecosystem, I think graphics are kind of underestimated in how important they are, or at the very least not talked about to the same degree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's partly true, but this applies to a pretty big fringe of the population, but that not all Gacha players search the same thing from the games.
True.
We know, for instance, that Dezxter, which has been, I guess, a couple of times on this show, is a player that is very much a collector at heart.
Right.
And so I imagine there's a lot more emphasis on the character design for his interests than for mine.
I will say also that I've found different things to kind of pull me in different games, right? Generally, obviously, if the game isn't that fun in most of the gameplay, I'm really probably not going to play it for that long. That's definitely one of the very important things that I look for in a game. But then, I actually had fun with the guild battles in Alex, but that by itself wasn't enough to hold my interest in the game for very long. Another thing that I'm noticing is kind of each of us has our own different things that are kind of pulling us into these games. So games not only have to have good design and whatnot, they also have to kind of do a lot of different things in order to appeal to a wide audience.
You know what's maybe the dumbest thing about FFBE? Is that while I did stay and come back and stay after my initial install that burned my phone at the time, and while I did return primarily for the Neo Automata, it was already in my head because someone talked about the Ariana Grande collab of all things. And that's enough to just say, look at this wacky out-of-the-way things, but maybe it can hook in some different people and make some people talk about your game.
Fair.
Yeah, I know of at least one person in the FFBE community who actually originally started the game because of the Ariana Grande crossover.
Yeah.
I think I know exactly who you're talking about. From the one of the forums, the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius forum, right?
I don't know him from the forum. I know him.
I don't know him from the forums. Yeah, I know him.
We're kind of like stream simpatico. We've rated each other a few times.
No, and that's a him. So no, that's not the same person. Meaning that together we know at least two people that started because of this collab.
Yeah, the guy I'm talking about, and I'm pretty sure the one Des is talking about too, is a streamer called Saiyan Knight.
Yep, that's him.
Oh, okay. Right, I know him.
Yeah, he's a friend of this channel, though we haven't really spoken recently. I should probably say hi in a while. I've just been out of that FFBE life, so I haven't been focusing on that community so hard.
Yeah, I spot him streaming lately, announced in his status in Elytra server. So a little hello has been real nice.
Well, I think that's pretty much it for today's episode.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear kind of the different things that you guys had draw you in.
Yeah, turns out a lot of different people have a lot of different experience, and that's why these games get to cast their nets pretty wide.
Mm-hmm. Of course,
or better or worse.
We got everything that we had. I mean, if it's good for your usual gameplay style, or if you like everything that's there, just enjoy it.
Indeed.
We have our own perspectives, not just in life, but also in gachas.
And I can't think of a better note to go ahead and wrap up on. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back next time with more of the games you love to hate. Have a good one, y'all.
See ya.
See you later.
Peace.